You're welcome. So today is our Relax into Health, Wealth, and Happiness meeting. It's been a while since we've had one of these because we had some reason last week. Something happened. I think we had an internet outage. So maybe we need a reminder of what our meeting is about. So it is to relax. It is to relax into health, wealth, and happiness. Now, of course, that sounds good. But the real opportunity here is to actually receive what it is that is being offered, as is always the case in life, rather than misinterpreting, which is to say, interpreting in any way whatsoever what it is that is being offered. And so this is something that you could easily dismiss, and unfortunately you would suffer the consequences of that dismissal. So I encourage you not to dismiss it. And in order to encourage you not to dismiss it, I will shine a light on it so that and encourage you to look at this more carefully, because this one thing, and this might seem like an exaggeration, but I assure you it is not. This one thing, if really taken all the way, is all that you need in order to have what it is that is being pointed to by the phrase relax into health, wealth, and happiness. By the way, that same phrase we could interpret or translate, we could translate that phrase many other ways. We could translate that phrase as to receive the Holy Spirit. We could translate that phrase to receive your birthright. We could translate that phrase as to be one with the spirit of all truth. We could translate that phrase as to know the eternal peace. We could translate that phrase so many ways, and I want you to understand that's what is being offered. And it really truly is your birthright, and it's not something that needs to be put off. So that's why I'm saying you want to just take this one thing. It's one very simple thing, and really don't let go of it. Hold on to this and let it take you all the way. And now, what is this one thing? The one thing, because there's so many things that are being said, the one thing that I'm pointing to right now is to understand at the deepest level what it is that's really meant when I say don't interpret anything, because any interpretation is a misinterpretation. Any interpretation is unnecessary, and it causes you to overlook and to miss out on your natural state, on your natural being, which is health, wealth, and happiness, which is eternal peace, which is timeless being. And that is now, and that is who you are. Now, this is, again, please, you got to see how quickly you interpret these things. So your job is just to watch for the interpretation. And so you see, every word that's being said, there are two, we could say fundamentally two possibilities here. So I really want to keep it simple so that you can see how simple it can be and the power of what it is that's available. So these two possibilities is, for every word that's being said, you can actually just receive the purity of that energy. And that purity of that energy is the source, which is yourself. It's now. And when you receive the purity of that, then there's no thought, there's no form, there's no anything. And so your conditioned false selves, they protest. They say, well, this can't be it. This doesn't feel like it. This doesn't match with my understanding. So then gets us to the other possibility. Remember, I said there's two possibilities for anytime a word is said, anytime anything occurs, two possibilities. The first one, which I just described, is that you can just receive the purity of it as it is. And this is the invitation directly to yourself now, to the full revelation of the truth of eternal being. And this is total freedom, total peace, and it completely dissolves all burden, all sorrow, all problem instantaneously. The other possibility is that you will interpret it. So how do you know that you're interpreting it? Because we have to understand what the interpretation is. The interpretation is, well, there's pure energy, there's the pure reality, the purity of the truth as it is. Now, this purity is, as the word suggests, it's pure, it's undistorted, unmodified. It is whole. It's your direct link to yourself as you are right now. And so that is just simply is. Nothing needs to be done. There's no contortion, no contrivance, no pretense, no nothing, no effort whatsoever is involved or required. But then the interpretation, which it's such a habit that you have no idea that it's going on, but that's why we're taking some time to look at it so that you can see. When you see this, you're going to be shocked, and then you'll keep being shocked, and that's very good. You see, the shock is your friend. Absolutely, undoubtedly, the shock of the seeing of the amount of distortion and the amount of pretense and the amount of suffering that's going on that you don't even consciously recognize. That shock is very healthy. It's very good. And you want to have that all day long. But most of the time, instead of allowing that, what we do is we leap right into our interpretation. The interpretation, of course, it serves a purpose. It's not a useful purpose for the truth, but it's very purposeful in terms of maintaining the suffering, maintaining the false separation. So again, that's why we want to see it. Now, please don't just like go to sleep. This is an opportunity to be awake. And so you want to just receive what it is that's being pointed to. Let the shock of it keep you awake, or not even, because you're probably not yet awake. Let it wake you. If you feel discomfort, that's fine. That's very good. It's very, very good, because that discomfort is an indication that you're being woken, because there's a great deal of I don't know what else to call it, evil, darkness, slumber going on. So you're being you're being electrocuted, but you don't want to wake up to the shock. You just say, no, I'll go back to sleep. Because it's too painful. But see, the going to sleep and trying to avoid the pain of the electrocution that's going on will not help you. So you want to be awake to it. You want to allow that shock. You want to let that startle you. And rather than going back to sleep and saying, oh, I just got to get comfortable again. No, we want to see what's actually happening. So that's why we're looking at this unconscious habit of interpretation. Because the unconscious habit of interpretation, as I said, it serves a purpose, but it does not serve you. It serves to distract from the truth of who you are. Why? Because as we've covered previously, at least in other meetings, if not in this meeting, there are many false selves. These false selves are the false creations. They're the false entities. They have no independent power. They're not independent selves. They don't exist independently, but they have been, they are golems. You see, they're like Frankenstein's monster. They've been animated. They're artificial intelligences. I use that phrase the other day in a meeting. They are all of those things. And so we make this fatal mistake of thinking that they are real, they have independent reality, and that they are us. And so they feed off of us. They feed off of us because, again, they have no independent reality. This seems a little contradictory because the language is, any way to describe it or model it has to produce describe it in terms of duality. But don't get hung up on thinking, oh, I thought I was supposed to be a non-dualist philosophically. I'm not sure how to handle this. Be shocked. Let go of your philosophy. It does you no good. You got to see that. You got to see that your philosophies, the test of the philosophy is, when put into action, does it reveal instantaneous freedom now? Does it reveal the problem-free reality now? Does it reveal the truth of who you are as an independent, formless self now, non-separate? And if not, please abandon it. Please have the courage to do that. And just see what's being pointed to rather than clinging to the false philosophies, the false interpretations of the true philosophies, which is same as a false philosophy, but it's just, let's clarify that that's a thing that happens. Because you see all these false shields you can hold up. Oh, Nisargadatta said, Ramana said, so-and-so said. And you've got to test it. You've got to see, okay, but what's the reality of it now? Is it alive now? Do I know it now? Am I living it now? Is the truth shining forth now? If there is any doubt whatsoever, then please abandon the false. So this interpretation, which is going on, it always suits the whims and ultimately the needs, because without it, they wither and die. The needs of these false selves, the artificial intelligences, the golems, the Frankenstein's monsters. And they are in fact synonymous. The interpretations are synonymous with the false selves. They're one and the same. You can't have them independent of one another. They are the same thing, just two sides of the same coin. So you got to see how they take you over, how they put you to sleep, they hypnotize you. And you've got to put it to the test. Everything has to be put to the test right now. And what is that test? As I've already described it, the test is, what is the lived reality now? If any of it is not revealing the truth, which is the supreme reality, which has been described and pointed to you by so many, by those who I named, Nisargadatta and Ramana, by the Buddha, by Jesus, even by so many names you don't even, names you know, names you don't know. So many people have described it. They use different words, but you see what happens is that it gets filtered through the interpretation, and we say, oh, I'm not sure. What, huh? And you have to see beyond the interpretation, before the interpretation, to the living, shining reality that is already here, that is being pointed to. It's only yourself pointing to yourself. So you want to see just watch right now. Remember, these meetings they have to be participatory for them to be of any real value, because if you're not participating, then you know who's participating. I'll give you a clue. False selves. They're feeding off of you. Wake up. Don't let them feed off of you. There's something in you that knows beyond doubt that the purpose of your life is to be awake, to be yourself, to be that truth, to never again fall into these traps of self-harm. And I want you to awaken that intelligence, and I want you to do that right now. I want you to see right now, take a look and see, use every bit of intelligence, of true intelligence that you have right now, that you can consciously access. And I want you to look and see, Is there any benefit whatsoever to you living in fear? Is there any benefit? And if you think there's a benefit, you have been had. You are being fed off of by a parasite. So I want you to, if you think there is, I want you to look again. Don't accept lies for truth. Shine the light of consciousness, which is who you are. You can't separate yourself from it. Shine that light right now and see. Is there any benefit to you or anyone from you living in fear? Look to your own life first. When you accept fear as reality, what is the good that comes from that? Look at every single one. You say, I'll give you some examples, okay? So you say, well, I'm afraid that I'll lose their love, whoever they are. And there's plenty of them, you look out there, even if you live alone, even if you're a hermit, you still are afraid of losing their love, whoever they are. You're afraid of losing society's love. You're afraid of losing your neighbor's love. You're afraid of losing God's love. See how twisted that is? First of all, nobody can love you other than God. Nobody. Who could do that? Because there is nothing else. Everything else is just an interpretation. It's a false self. It's a lie. You don't believe me? Look and see. Who are all these other people? Who are they? Do you have access to them? No. Never once have you in your life had access to another person. You've never touched another person. You've never known another person. All you know is your idea. No matter what you could say, well, but I have the closest, most intimate relationship with my husband, my wife, my whoever, anybody, my spiritual teacher, my guru. Well, you don't know. You don't know anything. No matter what they tell you, you don't know. Because the truth is, most of them don't even know. How could they tell you? You don't even know yourself, do you? If I say, what do you want? I mean, I've put this to many of you many times. What do you want? Have you ever really definitively come up with the answer to that? I mean, you come up with some words, you come up with some feelings, some images. But the truth is, you can't know that. It can't be known in the usual way. And then the twisted thing that the mind does, or these false selves, they say, oh, well, then I guess it maybe doesn't even exist. It doesn't exist for the false, of course, because the false ceases to exist in the true. The shadow doesn't exist in the light. But that doesn't, just because the shadow doesn't exist in the light doesn't mean the light isn't real. Oh, the light is very real. It's the only thing that is true about you. But see, you say, well, but I'm going to lose their love. And there's nobody else out there. There's nobody else that could love you. Because nobody else even exists. They're all figments of your imagination. And you don't even have to go crazy with that one. We're not even having to negate material reality here. We can allow for material reality to exist. We can say that materially there are many, many people. There are billions of people on the planet. Let's accept that, okay? Materially, there are billions of bodies on this planet. But how many selves are there? How many true selves are there? And I challenge you, there are none. There are none materially. You don't know a single one. All you know are your imaginations, your ideas. They're pure fantasy. So you're actually afraid of your own fantasy. You see that? You're afraid of losing their love, or their approval, or their whatever, your good standing in society, please. They all judge you. Nobody out there thinks that you have good standing, except for you, and you don't even believe it yourself. But they're all figments of your imagination in terms of the the persons who you imagine they are, because who are those persons? They don't, those independent selves don't exist. They're shadows. They're just false selves. That's it. The same as you. When I say, who are you? This is Ramana's invitation. Who am I? Look and see, who am I? What do you come up with? What can you say about who you are? Well, I'm this body, I'm this nationality, I'm this race, I'm this height, I've got these color eyes, this is my health status, this is my age, these are my accomplishments, these are my beliefs, these are my political views, these are my, my actions, my history, my blah, 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 blah. Not a single true self there. Just sounds, just ideas, pure fantasy. So you're dealing with an enormous amount of fantasy and you're scared of it. I understand, it's the human experience, but let's stop excusing it, because again, back to the point that I started out with in this particular line is, what is the benefit? What purpose does it serve truth for you to live in fear? And you've got to see it serves absolutely none, because again, here, when we look at a specific example, I might lose their love, I might lose their approval. So let's even dial it in a little bit more. Let's say that one person, identify one person, I'm sure there are many, but identify one person or one entity or one whatever, who you're particularly afraid of losing their love or their approval. Could be your husband, your wife, your children, your neighbor, your employer, your teacher, whoever. But just identify one person. Okay, now look at how you behave when you believe, as you do, that you need their love and approval. Now remember, honesty is the best policy here. Without honesty, you don't stand a chance. So don't excuse it, don't justify it, don't rationalize it. It's because there's so many of those excuses, right? Well, everybody does it. No, it's just how it has to be. And it's not really that bad anyway. And I don't really do anything anyway. See how you can just sweep it all away. Oh, I'm so sleepy. Fall back asleep. Meanwhile, all those parasites are sucking you dry because they love that fear energy. Love it. So see, it doesn't serve you, but it serves the false, because they live off of it. They have no existence independent of that fear. Now, look at how ugly that is, the way that you behave when you believe that you need that person's love and approval. But now you want to get really honest, look and see, not only is it ugly for you, because boy, is it ugly for you, isn't it? I mean, come on. The anxiety, the worry, the distress over this, they might find out, I got to be on guard. Oh, and yeah, just the tension. Oh my goodness, the tension when that person walks in the room. All they have to do, they don't have to say anything. They don't even have to intend anything. You interpret it all. They give you a look and you're like, don't say it's not true. Don't, please. It's very, very important, because if you say it's not true, you're cheating yourself only. So see the truth of it. Even if it's just a tiny little bit, you want to see that tiny little bit, and then don't dismiss it. Don't say, oh, well, it's trivial, it doesn't matter. It matters an enormous amount, because what you want more than anything in your true heart is freedom. And freedom is not something you can have a little bit of. It's all or nothing. There is no such thing as a little bit of freedom. You have to be either free or you're not. And so even the tiniest little bit that you say, oh, it's so trivial, who cares? It's just a little bit of tension. Oh, it's just a little bit of fear. It's just a little bit of annoyance. It's just a little bit of whatever. That means a whole complete non-freedom is what that means. So stop lying to yourself, stop harming yourself, and tell the truth about it. That little bit or that lot, a large amount, or a medium amount, or wherever it is, see the fear, the tension, the guardedness, all the behavior that flows from this belief. I need their love and approval. Now, that's just your experience. We're going to see it gets even uglier. Now you think, oh, well, I can take it. It's not that, what, I can, I can, I can handle it. It's just a little bit of self-harm. At least I'm not hurting anybody else. Hello, let's take a look. Take a look at that other person. Now, when you believe that you need their love and approval, and then you look and see how you guard, how you lie, how you are on the defensive, how you deceive, how you twist and distort, and all the little conniving and scheming and all the rest of it. Again, you're gonna say, "Oh, well, it's not so bad." It's, freedom's all or nothing. So, please, if you're not, if let's just be clear about this. If you don't want 100% freedom, then just go. Don't waste your time. Go do the other things, because the other things will get you, eventually will get you here sooner, because you'll exhaust yourself with those other things, seeking for the fulfillment there, and then you'll get here. But if you're not clear that actually I can't bear to live even another second without 100% freedom, if you're not clear about that, then go do the other things. Okay, because I want to know that for sure I'm talking to the right people, that you want freedom, that you're clear that nothing else will satisfy, that the rest of it is actually all lies and is painful. Then I know that you're willing to look sincerely, and then you're willing to see what's being pointed to. So look and see when you behave in those ways, because you're believing that you need their love and approval, even if it's just a little bit. Even if it's just a little bit of guardedness, just a little bit of distortion, just a little bit. See now, how does that play out in this relationship? How does that affect this other person? Now, this other person, they're engaging in a relationship with you. Now, you might, well, let's tell the truth. They're doing the same thing that you're doing. But let's just imagine for a moment, let's just see their innocence and purity prior to all of the other stuff. Okay, so now why on earth would you want to load any more evil and hardship onto their purity and innocence with even a little bit of a distortion, even a little bit of a lie, even a little bit of guardedness? Why would you want to do that to them? Now, of course, the truth of you doesn't want to do that. The truth of you wouldn't harm a fly. But that's what we need to get clear on, is who are you really? Because you've been living from a lie. We want to see that. Remember, I understand this is not comfortable, because if it was comfortable, you put you back to sleep. So look and see, honestly, sincerely, is that the way you want to treat this other person? Do you really want to load more burden onto their purity and innocence? Really want to do that to them? See them as like a pure, innocent babe. Can you do that? Might be too hard, I don't know. But just see if for a moment you can see them that way. Do you want to burden them in that way? Of course you don't. So now we're getting clear on what the severe consequences of even just a little tiny bit of allowing fear does. And that's just in one area. That's just one relationship. How many relationships do you have? A lot of them. So every single one of those now, see how that ripples out? And we wonder, why is the world like it, the way it is? Now you know the answer. But wait a second, before you go despairing, look at the good news here. That's the reason the world is the way it is. Now, isn't the world ugly? Come on. You don't think it's ugly? Let's just like kind of go through what is going on in the world. Greed, war, starvation, hostility, violence, rape, murder. And you say, oh, come on, that's a little bit harsh, isn't it? This happened at every level. That's government's doing that, industry's doing that, your neighbors are doing that, and you're doing that. And you say, well, I'm not a rapist. At least in some sense you are, because you're doing that to yourself all the time. So now, but the good news, because it's always good news. I want to be clear about that. If I would never do that to you, just like lay a whole big trip on you and then say, and the end. No, this is good, very good news. Because when we see that the world is the way it is because of our beliefs, our investment in fear, then what a wonderful, wonderful revelation this is, because then we discover instantaneously, I've been looking at it all the wrong way. I thought that it was all about all that stuff out there and that it was so huge and that it would never be fixed. And poor me, I'm a victim of all that. Poor us, poor society, we're just poor victims. No, no, freedom is now. True peace is now. Know it now, and then you see what change happens. Then that truth radiates out. And you don't wait for the world, you live that truth and you radiate that into the world, because the world is only that. And if you think, well, that can't be true, well, my challenge to you is find out. You stop giving and even the tiniest little bit of energy to fear. You stop believing in fear. You stop living from fear. And then you do that consistently, persistently. You do that for 1 year, and then you tell me if it's not true. And right there, look at the lie that just popped into your head. Do you see the lie that just popped into your head? Don't say there's no lie that popped in your head, because there's definitely a lie that popped into your head. I can pick it up. I know. You'll hear what that lie said to you. You tell me that's who you are serving presently. If that's not the devil, I don't know what is. Because what did it just tell you? Didn't it tell you a lie? Didn't it tell you something along the lines of, oh, please, that's a fantasy, or that sounds nice, but I could never do it, or oh, that's too hard, or whatever. It tells you, or I'll do it tomorrow, or oh, yeah, I'll work really hard. It tells you so many lies. Okay, so let's look at some more ways in which the fear plays out, other ways that you go unconscious and serve the fear. Okay, so we looked at one, fear of not of losing the love and approval of others. Oh, well, can we look at that? Let's look at that one a little bit more, okay? Because we looked at with another person, but I want you to look, okay, what about the fear that you might lose the love and approval of God? And you fill with it. I don't care what word you want to use. I mean, spirit, soul, life, universe, whatever. I don't care. Talking about, and you don't tell me that you don't have that fear, because come on, everybody's got that fear. That's an enormous fear, that you're going to lose the love and approval of God. What a mess that is, isn't it? Don't lose the love and approval of God. That's the biggest lie there is. And see what happens to you. See what you do. See the behavior when you believe that. See how many things you excuse when you believe that? Well, I'm going to lose the love and approval of God, so I guess it's okay. I'll just keep on lying. So twisted and distorted. But look and see. Okay, I want to pull it back to the original point here so that this is crystal clear for you. Look at all the interpretation that goes on and see all the interpretation, how you try to fit it into what you already think you know, what you already believe. And then you filter it neatly. You say, well, that doesn't apply. He doesn't really mean that. I don't believe that. Nisargadatta said, Ramana said, Ramesh said, so-and-so said. I don't have to, I can dismiss all these things because they're too uncomfortable. So I'll just dismiss them with all of these weird distortions and interpretations and twisting of the things. Oh, when he says that word, it means what I think it means. Stop that, because that's self-harm. Remember what I said, the truth is you, it's now. You can receive that truth now. All you have to do is just stop interpreting, just receive. I mean, so we got 20 minutes left in this meeting. And here's the next challenge. There's a lot of challenges, but here's the next challenge. See, can you just receive the truth for the next 20 minutes? And you know how you can know if you're receiving the truth? Super simple, because it's blissful. Not a single thought, not a single hesitation, not a single distortion. No, fear can't enter here because fear has no power. Fear has no existence. The truth, which is the light that you are, it shines ceaselessly. You don't have to do anything for that. You just stop doing all the things that you otherwise would be doing. And just receive that. What a beautiful thing. So see, that's the challenge. See if that's possible. I don't care if you hear another word, because to hear the words is like all the words are actually pointing to the source of the words, which is the truth of who you are. So just stay there. Let the sounds just pass through. Let them enliven the bliss of your true nature. Every sound, everything that would otherwise be interpreted as a fear, anxiety, distress, discomfort, all of that it enlivens the bliss of your true nature. Isn't this the good news that they've all been talking about? Who among them, all of the truth tellers, who among them said, slave away, suffer greatly forever, all in the hopes of some future salvation? See how like the interpretations twist everything. Christianity is interpreted the truth of Christ. What did Jesus say? He said the kingdom of heaven is within. He didn't say slave away forever. He said it's right here, right now. You are already it. I and the Father are one. He didn't say the man Jesus and the Father are one. He said I and the Father are one. Well, who are you? Aren't you I? I and the Father are one. Kingdom of heaven is within. It's not the kingdom of heaven is over there. Kingdom of heaven is within. I and the Father are one. What a pure teaching that is. And then look how it's been twisted and distorted so that you fear God. So that's the opportunity. That's the opportunity now. And what about for the rest of your life? Why not for the rest of your life? Start with 20 minutes and then just keep on going. So let's look at some of these other fears. Because remember, I said, what benefit is there from you energizing fear, engaging with fear, giving anything to fear? What benefit is there? But hold on, look and see. Even if you can rationally recognize there's no benefit, you still keep doing it. So we want to see why you keep doing it so that you can cease doing it. You want to see clearly, no, actually, there really, honest to goodness, is no benefit whatsoever, no, despite any of the lies that may come forth. Because the lies will come forth from the false selves. Because why? They need the fear in order to survive. Because they have no independent existence. They are false creations. They were created out of ignorance. They were created because you didn't know who you were and what you wanted. You're like, I think I want that over there. In order to get that over there, oh, I think I want that person's love and approval. Well, in order to get that over there, then I've got to guard against the loss of that. So here's feeding into fear, feeding into fear, feeding into fear, feeding into fear. It keeps growing. So we want to see some more ways in which this happens. So you say, well, I'm afraid. Oh, this is a good one. I'm afraid. This is one I know very well. This has been one of my biggest challenges in life. This is the fear of um, the loss of the. We'll look at them in two parts at least. The loss of the physical self, so physical strength, capacity, desired feelings, and so forth. Okay. So how many people are fearful of losing something of the physical self? Most people, right? Now look at how that fear, when you believe that it's true, I should fear, I should be worried, I should have anxiety about my physical self. Look at what happens. Look how you behave. So there's tension, right? You're on guard, you're hyper vigilant, you're looking for solutions, you're looking for remedies, you're looking to protect yourself, you're looking to uh, bolster yourself, you're looking to, strengthen the body and all these things. So the lie is, well, all of that's good, all of that's helpful. Well, hold on though. Look and see sincerely, what is the outcome of that been? Is that actually producing what you really want? No. Come on. It doesn't. In fact, what does it do? It does the opposite, doesn't it? Because there's a law. It's like it's like the law of attraction, really. What you focus on, that's your reality. Because the inner is the outer. There is no outer independent of the inner. So the outer and the inner are it's a false distinction. It's all fantasy. It's all interpretation. There is no thing out there. There is no objective experience. None of that exists. It's only what we would call a subjective reality. There's something transcendent of both the objective and subjective, and it's the one thing that's true and real, which is you. But in terms of duality, the inner and outer are simply the two poles of the same phenomenon. So anytime that you're focused on losing your health, physical capacity, strength, and so forth, guess what happens? And then you say, well, I don't know, it was really confusing, I don't know how to make sense of it. Yeah, because you're trying to think about it. But look at all the things that you can try to come up with in order to harden this false position that's only generated suffering and misery for you. And you say, well, but I don't want to get cancer. Cancer would be terrible. I got it. Yes, but only because that's your belief. Look, again, look, this is something you can't understand this with your dualistic mind, but let it penetrate beyond that and shine the light onto something that's true. So we say Ramana had cancer. Do you think for a moment that Ramana suffered? I promise you he did not. I know for certain that he did not. And you might say, how could you know for certain? Because you can know for certain. Just look right now. The truth of who you are and the truth of who Ramana is, they're not separate. You can know this. That's his invitation. Ramana never said, worship me. Ramana is pointing to this, he's pointing to the self, oneself, not Ramana's self, not myself, the self. Who, who else could you be? Ramana is just yourself calling to you. And so you heed that call and you recognize the truth of what Ramana was pointing to. And you realize, you know, for sure, not for a second did Ramana suffer. Because the idea of cancer, the idea of some objective experience, the idea of something versus another thing, that whole idea, the idea of identifying as the body, not for an instant was that ever a reality for Ramana. Because the truth, I mean, when I say Ramana, I'm not talking about the man, I'm not talking about the mind, I'm talking about the presence. And that's the same presence that you are. So you see that this body guaranteed to die. It's guaranteed. This physical body will die. We can look and see this notion of birth and death is totally false. So even to say it's going to die is false, but we know that form will change. The form is changing now. Sometimes the change is more dramatic and more rapid. But it's when we get fixated on, I am this body, I must preserve the body, then you know what happens? We experience the suffering that we call cancer. Because what else is that other than cancer? Can't you see? It's feeding off of you. Even if it's not already in the body, it's happening in the mind, it's happening in the imagination. It's already, that cancer already is there. And why let it get to the point where you're battling with it at such a physical level, such a superficial level? Why let that happen? Get clear on it now, and then you know it's irrelevant. Every single one of these sages died. Yogananda died. Nisargadatta died. Ramana died. But the truth of who they are can never die. The truth of who you are can never die. And see how you interpret that. You see how you interpret that? But you got to hear the voice that's whispering into your ear how you should interpret that, how you should ignore it, dismiss it, twist it, to fit it into what you already believe. What do you believe? You serve fear. You believe in fear. Fear is your master. And it's a terrible master. And then you see what happens is that fear tells you, be afraid of God, be afraid of truth, be afraid of the light, because, and you say, well, that seems crazy, but look, isn't that what's happening? I say, be free of death. Be free of death now. And you say, well, that sounds nice. Who doesn't want to be free of death? Don't you want to be free of death? You say, yeah, that sounds really nice. And you say, how do I do that? And I say, stop being afraid of death. And you say, well, I don't know how to do that. You just stop being afraid of death. Just stop it now. Just stop. Just see the lie that it is. It whispers in your ear. And every time that it does, it says jump, you say how high. It says, but you're going to die. You got to save yourself. You got to become immortal. You got to protect. You got to guard. You got to strengthen. You say, oh, what do I do? What do I do? And it gives you all of its false strategies. Well, ignore it. Well, distract yourself. Well, take this pill. Well, do that exercise. Well, go to this thing. Go to that thing. Watch TV. Whatever. Tell you all so many things. stupid, stupider, and stupidest. It will tell you all of them, and you'll do all of them because you bit the bait that it hooked you with, which is that it told you the lie that you are this thing that comes and goes. So just stop it. It will keep going. It will keep happening, but you stop feeding it. It says you should be afraid, and you just be afraid of what? Of you? And it will say, yeah, I'm real scary. Yeah, whatever. It can't harm you. It can't touch you. You are pure consciousness. See the truth of that now. So same then, I mean, there we just kind of finished it, didn't we? I mean, when you see the clarity of that, then what other way in which fear manifests are you going to fall for? It was going to rob you of your mind. Oh, you're going to get Alzheimer's. Oh, you'll be crazy. Oh, you're going to, Wouldn't it, how about this? Lose the mind now. See, this is the thing. It tricks you. It lies to you. It says, you're going to lose the mind. Oh, no, I'm going to lose the mind. What is scaring you other than the mind? Finish it off now, and then you've got nothing to fear. I'm serious. Look and see the truth of that. Be done with it. What has it done other than torment you? I'm not talking about basic, like practical things. Sure, it does those things, but then you say, oh, but if I had Alzheimer's, I wouldn't be able to do the practical things. Okay. So then you wouldn't do practical. The day will come, you won't do practical things. But look at how you're afraid of it now. And if you say, oh, I'm not afraid of it now, then you're not being honest. That's all I can say about that. You're just not being honest. I don't care. You could be 20 years old, you could be 50 years old, you could be 75 years old. I don't care. You could be 99 years old. Anywhere in there, it doesn't matter. You might be more or less afraid, but you're afraid. You're afraid of losing your mind, of losing your body, of losing all of these things, losing your relationships, losing your financial so-called security, all these things. Lose them. Give them up. And I mean it right now. Just give them up right now. And tell me right now in this instant, isn't this what you really want? Isn't this freedom? Can you just sigh a sigh of relief? And then you see what the next thought is. The next thought says, well, it can't last. Oh my goodness. Yeah, see, you got to just see the lies as lies. It can't last. What? Eternity can't last? Timelessness can't last? I mean, yeah, it can't last because it doesn't begin. It exists independent. It's the only true reality. I'll tell you what can't last is what's false, because what's false comes and goes. It never even existed in the first place. So we're 18 minutes in of the 20-minute challenge. How has that been going for you? Have you received it all in truth, as truth? Have you proven to yourself the truth of what I suggested? I suggested that everything, every single sound, every energy, every event, everything, every circumstance, every moment can enliven the bliss of the truth of who you are. And that is the truth. That is 100% real. And you see what an enormous revelation that is, and what a gift that is to see that, oh my goodness, every moment, everything, every fear, every anxiety, every distress, every thought, every fantasy, every desire, everything, when it's simply received, not interpreted, just received. You see what I'm talking about? You just receive. How easy is it? It's the easiest thing. No effort at all, just receive. Doesn't you just see it like it comes and it goes, it passes through, and it's like waves of bliss. The things that you thought were hell, you see the truth of what they say. They say that samsara is nirvana. Say that, or that Maya is Leela. It's true. And you see the truth of it now. When you stop interpreting, when you stop thinking about it, stop trying to fit it into your philosophy, and you just see what's being pointed to, just receive. And then go forth. And from this moment onward, forever and ever, you know the secret, you live the secret, and it is, you are home free. In truth, you are home free. And then I get it, I know, you'll forget, you'll fall down, you'll cry, you'll hesitate, you'll fear again, but then just remember, because now is always here, always. You can't, like, it's always here. There's like, it's never too late. It doesn't matter if you and I'll end it with this. If for 99 years a person was to live in fear and anxiety, which is the norm, if in the last second of their life, imagining that they're going to die at the end of this 99 years and 1 second, okay, the last second of their life, if they see and live the truth of what I've just pointed to, then the previous 99 years were redeemed completely. That is true. So what, you don't fall for that lie anymore, that the past holds any sway over you. It absolutely has no sway, has no reality whatsoever. Right now, always, the truth is here for you. All you have to do is accept it. Just receive it, and receive everything that you've ever desired in its truth, because it's you, because it's now, because it's effortless, because it's real. That is what it means to relax into health, wealth, and happiness. So thank you, as always, for joining me. Blessings to you all. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Continue to live the truth of what's been pointed to. Just receive this truth. Keep on receiving. And if I see you next time, I'll see you next time. Okay? Bye for now. Take care.